Alright guys, now I'm going to show you what happens when I have a line infantry army taking on another army. Right? Now, I know I've sort of been taking on small fish here, alright? But as I said, these guys, right? Principles in this game, they still apply, right? They still do apply. Right? And once I'm done with this demonstration, right, I'm also next going to talk about grand strategies, because I've talked about army creation, right, and then deployment on the field, right. So now we're going to talk about grand strategies. Okay. Now, as I said, since I'm facing a smaller force, right, what I'm going to do is I'm essentially going to keep half my army back, right. I'm going to keep them in reserve, right. So as I said, this time, guys, I've got the option of using, my specialized units. Now, from the looks of things, this actually looks like a quite interesting terrain we have here. So again, the first thing I'm doing deploy itself on the other side, and the Iroquois had to march the whole way across the battlefield to get to my other army. And by that time, my other army was ready, but they'd just been marching, so they were tired. It made them easier to beat, right? So that's another reason why I always use two armies, right? Because you never know where they're going to come out. So what we're going to do is we're going to deploy. Now, as you can see, here they are, right? So what we need to do now is wait. I'm going to fast things forward just a little bit here. And this is actually what I feared would happen sometime, right? Is they're not moving. Okay? Sometimes it does happen, okay? So this is my solution, right? I'm going to send out my... neutralizing enemy cavalry. Now what's going to happen is they have run smack bang into my line. Now, unfortunately, my men aren't quite quick enough to get behind because they're getting cut down by my own men. But here we have it. Now they're enemies. Now my enemies are retreating. Of course, as I said, my guys are wavering too, so I'm trying to get them behind my lines. And there you have it. It looks like I will have to actually move my forces, but I'm not going to do it in a straight up attack formation, okay? So here's what we're going to do. My entire line is going to move as one. Alright? And there you go, I've just killed their general. So there you have it. And now they're coming at me. Another thing to remember, guys, right, is that don't send cavalry against infantry unless they are on the verge of breaking. Infantry will beat cavalry every single time. Not as well as militiamen or minutemen, but they will always win. So here you go. All right. There you go. First line fires. Sitting there, and there they go. Taking the hits. Alright. So this flank, this regiment is the one doing most of the fighting. Now I said, you may one disadvantage to widening out your line is that it makes your line a bit of a bigger target. No question about that one. But as I said, you can get the first shot off and the second shot off much faster than they can go through 3 shots. Alright. So my front line is reloading. There's my second line. There you go. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these guys up. sort of a reinforcement. We'll get them running. Sometimes a good thing to do here, right, is once you start losing men, right, keep your ranks at double. Right. Tighten. They're still pretty confident, so we haven't broken them just yet, right? But that's what these guys are for. So as I said in my last battle, right, is the idea is to try and get as many, battalions shooting at, try and get the advantage in your favor. So there we have 2 battalions are in range of one of their battalions. Right, so watch this. There you go. Now they're down to 100. The second line fires, and there they go. Now they're shaken. Right? And this is when you send in the cavalry. Once the white flag starts wavering, right, you send in the cavalry. Right? Guarantee you this will break them. What I've made is that, they are sitting within range of my cavalry, so it's a bit of a silly move, but nonetheless. And there you go, they've just broke. Okay. Now, unfortunately, my own cavalry has just broken due to what I've done there, right? But nonetheless, that's one of the regiments broken and out of the way. So now, that leaves me free to deal with the single battalion, right? And notice, guys, right? I'm not even using half my forces, right? So, I mean, you shouldn't really commit your entire force, just use enough to deal with the situation, right? And 2 battalions are more than enough to deal with their 2 battalions, okay? Because, see this line here, they haven't lost a single man, right? They have not lost anybody. Right? It makes your forces easier to replenish. So the idea is, as I said, just take the number of men you need to deal with the situation. Now here we have 2 battalions against 1. Not firing. So essentially, that's what a 3/4 of a battalion is firing, right? What is the point in that, right? At least when you have 2 to 3 lines, right? Everybody is firing. You're firing on all cylinders, right? So again, the white flag is wavering. This is the time to send in the cavalry, right? As I said, my first cavalry regiment broke, so I just had to make use of the second one. This is just absolutely perfect. I mean, look at this. They're slamming in from the side. Not straight ahead, slamming from the side. So they're shaking, and boom. There they go, and we have another right on our hands. Okay, now I'm going to get you guys to stop. Make sure you're not shooting anybody. And there you go. All the cavalry have to do now is sweep them up. Right, now I'm actually going to continue this battle. They've nowhere to run. They don't know where to go. Right? So like I said, the cavalry are extremely effective at chasing down fleeing enemies. Right? So that's essentially the reason why I use cavalry is to deal with enemy artillery. Right? Is to deal with other cavalry. Let's see, to break enemy lines and to chase down fleeing enemies. Those are the reasons why I use cavalry. Right? I never use artillery because they're far too inaccurate and they don't really do very much. The only thing they're really good for is sieges, and even then, I can take on sieges and not even need artillery. All right, see these guys? They don't even know where to go. All right, so. I think all we need now is the Benny Hill theme. Right. So there you have it. There's only 25 men left in that battalion. 25 men. Right. See, and these are French rebels. Now, I'm pretty brutal when it comes to rebels. All right. Rebels don't get quarter. There you go. A close victory. Alright. So I only lost 134 men, right? And they only have 90 men remaining. Right?
Onward.
That's a pretty crushing blow right there. That's a pretty crushing defeat.
Forward.
Right? So again, we look at my army. You see again, right? There's only 3 regiments that I have to replenish. Just 3. Rather than having the whole army, commit the entire army, all I have to do is just do 3. Right. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to save my game right here. Right. So now we're going to talk about grand strategies. Now, I mentioned some things I've said before. Right. Is my armies travel in pairs. Right. Now what we have here is I'm surrounding the nation, right, of Württemberg. Right. So I'm trying to surround them on all as many sides as I can. Right. The important thing is, right, is that my country is here. Their country is there, so I'm not surrounded on this side where they have free shot of Paris. I'm guarding my borders, right? Because at some point I'm going to have to declare war on these guys, right? So I am preparing myself for the inevitable onslaught, right? All right. Over here we have a very similar situation. We have twin armies here on another one of my board. Well, not so much a border, right? But it's the potential attack space, right? That the British could attack me from. All right. So again, we have twin armies, 2 armies guarded by border from this army right here. All right. We have another army up here, which my intention is to attack this one, right? But what I'm also going to do later on, right, is I'm going to bring in another army as a matter of reinforcement. I'm going to reinforce them. As you can see up here, again, let's go back to what I said before, the regular lines and the militias. All right. So it's also important to try and defend your borders, right? Now, another good thing to remember, right, is, is diplomatic relations, all right? Peace is, it's a very good idea to keep peace. It's not a good idea to wage war all the time. Sometimes when you wage war, right, and you win a war, or you lose it, whichever way, you need to have peace, right? You need time to build your strength and replenish your armies, replenish your forces, right? And allies are a good idea, but I would advise against having too many allies, right? Because in a situation we have right here is I have Austria, Prussia, and Genoa as allies, right? And as we have, see, the Maratha Confederacy, right? They're very friendly with me, right? At one point, they were in fact allies of mine, right? But what happened was Great Britain declared war on me, right? And unfortunately, brought the Maratha Confederacy into conflict with me as well. Now, I made peace with them, right? But what happened at one point earlier, right, was that I had, let me see here, Prussia are allies with Austria, Württemberg, and Venice, and Genoa, right? Now, Prussia are an ally of mine, right? And unfortunately, I need to conquer Württemberg. I need to conquer Venice. And I need to conquer Genoa. If I declare war on either 3 of these nations, Prussia is going to declare war on me. Alright? So it's a bit of a bastard situation, right? But as another thing to remember, guys, right, is see here, they may have small territories, but they have very powerful armies. Very, very powerful armies, right? Now, these are three nations that should have been done away with very early in the game. The problem was, right, I was a little more focused on dealing with, conquering all of the Americas, right? And then conquering Western Europe. So, unfortunately, I took a bit too long, and I've paid the price. A similar situation what happened to me before was when I was too busy dealing with America, right? The Ottoman Empire conquered the Russian Empire, all right? So that essentially made Russia and Eastern Europe under Ottoman control. At the same time, the French took Central Europe, and I was held on to the West, right? And then the Maratha Confederacy were all the way over in India. So essentially, I allowed two nations to grow extremely powerful, and worse still, those two nations in that game were allied with each other. And every once in a while, France would declare war on me, right? We would fight a battle, and then I would have to make peace. In that game, this river right here was the border. That was the border. I had every single one of my forces along this border, and they had every one of theirs along the border as well. All right. So sometimes, as I said, some armies they grow too large to deal with directly. So when that happens, you have your other option: take the capitals, right? Because sometimes what I would do is if a country is too large to take on directly, I'll just take the capitals, because when you take the capitals, right, all their armies just disappear. The nation is gone. All their armies just vanish into thin air. You may think that's a bit of a cheap tactic, but like I said, guys, what would you rather do? Would you rather end the war quickly, or would you rather drag it out to the point where it could very well end up you're going to end up losing? All right. So like I said, don't let anyone become too powerful. And if they do become powerful, take the capitals. All right. Now, another aspect of this game is economics. Right. But honestly, guys, I never really bother too much about economics. If you keep conquering and keep taking lands, essentially, your economy is going to take care of itself. Now, sometimes whenever I take a new country, what I use is that new country as a recruitment center. Right? So, I recently took Istanbul, and now they have an army. Right? And as you can see here, this is a place where I can recruit line infantry, and I can essentially use that as a recruitment center against the against more hostile borders. Right? So, as I said, guys, I started off with America in this game. Right? I said I've listed reasons why America is good, but there are other armies, armies to start with. Russia here is, if you want a lot of territory, right? Russia could very well be a good place to start, but again, it's not the most challenging, right? And you run the risk of spreading your armies too thin, right? Spain, right, is also a good one to start off with, because they have colonies at the start of the game. They have colonies in South America, so even if you lose your European holdings, you've still got them. The British Empire also not much different. They held territories in northern Canada. All right, so that'll be a good starting point if you want to capture North America. Sweden up here. I think at the beginning of the game, Norway is under Danish control, right? But in Sweden, you do have a few places to start off with. France, and Prussia, and Austria. All but the same. The Ottomans, also a decent starting point. At the beginning of the game, they hold Anatolia. A few areas here in the Middle East and Northern Africa. All right. So, I said it's really just up to how much you want to challenge yourself. If you want to challenge yourself, you really want to challenge yourself, right? You can start off in this mod. You can start off with a smaller nation, right? I mean, like Württemberg or Venice or even Genoa for that matter. That's if you really, really want to challenge yourself, right? So, I just wonder, is there anything else that I've missed? I'm not too sure, guys. But essentially, that is how I play this game. All right. as I said, my first point was about army creation, right? I've talked about how many regiments to use, specialized units, and how to use cavalry, and my particular fondness for Minutemen, right? I've also talked about how to set up your armies on the field, like some use of terrain, regiment positions, and the mentality to use, in this case, is defense, right? And I've also talked about grander strategies as well. Border protection, right? City protection, as I said, whenever you're guarding your cities, use militias. Don't use regular armies. There's no point in keeping regular armies bottled up in cities when, of course, they could be out there conquering lands for you. Right? I said, never let anyone grow too powerful. Right? Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in a very, very long ass campaign. A very long ass campaign. Right? And one that could very well end up you get bored with and decide, fuck it, I'll just not bother. Right? And as I said, I've shown some, I've given you some examples from even history itself, which is one reason why I wanted this game, because I wanted to apply the knowledge, historical war, the strategy knowledge that have been used from history, and I wanted to apply it to this game. And thus far, guys, I think I've done a pretty good job. I've covered Napoleon's corps armées, right? Arthur Wellesley's defense, right? Alexander the Great's widened the line, right? Napoleon's reinforcement armies, right? And the use of terrain, as I said, when Arminius defeated the Romans at the Battle of Teutoburg Forest. Right? Another good example of that one was also why I keep my armies small was the Battle of Leuthen, right? When Frederick the Great used a smaller army and he used its more rapid mobility to outflank an Austrian army and essentially rout them. So, as I said, that's why I like to keep my armies small. As the Russian general Count Suvorov once said, win with ability, not with numbers. As I've seen in the past many, many times before, and some examples I've even used as well. Alexander the Great beat an army 5 times larger than his own at Gaugamela. Hannibal defeated the Romans at the Battle of Cannae using an ingenious tactic and managing to encircle a larger army with a smaller army. All right? And even that wasn't the only time he beat the odds. He consistently beat the odds with a smaller force. So, those are the points, and that is how I play Empire Total War. Right? So as I say, guys, it's essentially up to yourselves, what you want to take away from this. If you think I'm the greatest, I should have joined the military and became a general, great, I appreciate the compliment. Or if you think I'm just a dumb idiot who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, then by all means, you're free to think so. But as I said to you guys, this is just how I play the game. So, like I said, this video was asked for by BringYourOwnGeek.com. If you want to check it out for any games reviews, movie reviews, even TV shows, or any entertainment and geeky news in general, check it out at www.BringYourOwnGeek.com. And I said, I am also a streamer. I'm the Irish Alchemist. I stream on Twitch, YouTube, and on Twitter. If you want to check out any of my streams, you can check it out. Just type in Irish Alchemist 30 on YouTube, or even on Twitch for that matter. I will actually be streaming this evening, right? And not too long a time, actually. We'll be doing a very special stream where I have, in fact, been challenged by one of my own streamers called Rebel of Life. So if you want to check that out, feel free to do so. But I thank you all for listening to me this evening. Go forth and conquer. Thanks again. Good night.